Secretary John Vic Rimulya at DBM Acting Secretary Rolando Toledo upang talakayin ang budget at direktiba ng kanilang mga ahensya. Magandang umaga po, Sec. John Vic.
Magandang umaga po, Aling Claire. Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. Statement na ba ako? Narinig yun naman ang pahayag ni Secretary Claire na ang ating Pangulo ay nagbigay ng bagong prioridad para sa local government. Higil to sa sigaw ng tao para maibalik ang tiwala ng mga mamamayan para sa ating mga pamahalaan. There is a crisis of confidence now between the people and the government. That was caused by the revelations of the flood control scandal. Ngayon na nakita natin kung ano ang depekto ng ating budget, ang depekto ng ating gobyerno, ginagawa lahat ng ating Pangulo para pumarehas ang laban. Tinatama niya ang mali sa DPWH, tinatama niya ang mali sa national government, at pinapalakas niya ang lokal na gobyerno. Kung titignan nyo, ang tawag namin dyan ay friction cost. Mas mataas ang friction cost sa national government kaysa local government. Kaya magbibigay siya ng kakayahan, malaking kakayahan sa ating local government sa pamamagitan ng local government support fund at iba pang mga paraan. Kung titignan nyo, ang maraming proyekto ang nakalahad ng ating Pangulo. Unang-una dyan sa batay ng ating sa Department of Education, meron tayong nakalaan na 40,000 school rooms in 1 year na itatayo. Ito ay PPP project na ako hinihinarap ko sa ating Pangulo at sa ating Private Sector Advisory Council na ida-idaan na sa local government units yan. Nagagaranti ko kung nasa local government units daan yan, ang cost ng classrooms will go down by 40% at the minimum. And the local economy will be stimulated as well. Kinusap ko mga governor, kinusap ko mga mayor, yung mga highly in need sa mga classroom to school room to student ratio, at sila'y pumapayag. May gid din doon, marami tayong problema sa housing na gusto rin natin daan sa local government units na matibay na mararamdaman ng ating mga syudad na mabibigyan ng housing lalo na ang ating mga pinakamahirap, mga informal settlers, yung mga rural informal settlers. Babalak natin gumawa ng communities para sa ating mga rural workers. Ang poorest of the poor ng ating bansa ay nasa agricultural sector. Ang balak natin ay palakasin ang kanilang kakayahan sa pamamagitan ng ibaba ang kanilang cost of living. Sa tingin namin, ang rural housing, urban housing, ay ito ay malaking bagay na magagawa para maitawid ang bawat Pilipino mula sa kahirapan. Ito ang kakayahan ng local government. Ito ang kakayahan ng local government code. Pero sa ilalim ng ating Pangulo, pinalakas niya ito, nilagay niya ng pondo at bigyan niya ng tiwala na ang local government mismo ang siya mag-uusad ng national development. Yan na po. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.
Okay. So, magandang araw po. Okay. Sa 2026 national budget, malinaw ang direksyon ng ating Pangulo. Ito ay ang ilapit ang serbisyo sa tao sa pamamagitan ng mas pagpapalakas, paglinang ng kakayahan at pagpapaigting ng pananagutan ng ating mga local government units o kanayunan. Ang paniniwala po ng administrasyon ay simple at direkta. Kung lokal ang problema, sa lokal na pamahalan din dapat manggaling ang diskarte o desisyon. Kaya po sa 2026, hindi lamang natin dinagdagan ang pondo ng mga LGU, binago natin ang mismong paraan ng paglalagay ng pondo sa budget. Mas malinaw ang papel ng local na pamahalaan. Mas buo ang kanilang kapangyarihan at mas malinaw ang pananagutan. Sa ilalim ng 2026 General Appropriations Act, makakatanggap ang mga LGU ng 1.19 trillion na National Tax Allotment or NTA. Bukod pa sa mahigit na 31.7 billion na special shares mula sa national taxes at 1.41 billion mula sa fire code fees. Ang ibig sabihin lang po nito, LGUs ang pangunahing tagapagplano at tagapagpatupad ng serbisyong panlipunan sa antas ng komunidad. Hindi lang sila tagatanggap ng pondo, sila na ang may hawak ng manibela. Dagdag pa rito, ang 57.87 billion na local government support funds sa 2026, mahigit doble kumpara noong nakarang taon. Ang pondong ito ay tahasang dinisenyo upang palakasin ang basic services, suportahan ang kanayunan at kabuhayan at tulungan lalo na ang mga low-income o resource-constrained LGUs. Alam naman natin na hindi pantay ang panimulang linya ng bawat lokal na pamahalaan. Kaya malinaw ang layunin ng budget. Iangat ang lahat ng lokal na pamahalaan at siguraduhin walang maiiwan. Ngunit higit pa sa laki ng pondo, mahalaga ang malinaw na patakaran. Sa ilalim ng 2026 budget framework, hindi na pwedeng magulat ang isang mayor na may proyektong tinatayo sa kanyang lugar na hindi niya alam, hindi niya hiningi at hindi nakaangkla sa plano ng kanyang LGU. So ang budget ay hindi sorpresa. Ang budget ay plano. Kaya ang mga proyektong para sa LGU ay dapat manggaling mismo sa kanila, mula sa kanilang local development plans, dahil sila ang may pinaka nakakaalam kung ano talaga ang tunay na kailangan ng kanilang komunidad. Ganito rin ang prinsipyo sa disaster response at rehabilitation. Sa 39.82 bilyong pondo ng NDRRMF o National Disaster Risk and Reduction Management Fund sa 2026, may 15.33 na direktang ilalaan para sa rehabilitasyon at construction ng mga LGU. Ang pondong ito ay ginagamit batay sa approved local rehabilitation and recovery plans. Ang LGU ang magpapasya kung ano ang uunahin: bahay, paaralan, health facility, infrastruktura at kabuhayan ayon sa aktwal na pinsala at pangangailangan, hindi ayon sa dikta ng kahit sino. Sa patuloy na pagpapatupad ng devolution, malinaw ang mensahe ng Pangulo. Ang national government ay katuwang ng LGUs, hindi kapalit o kakompetensya nila. May pondo, may suporta at may malinaw na balangkas upang matiyak na ang serbisyo ay maayos, planado at may pananagutan sa lokal na antas. Sa huli, ang 2026 national budget ay hindi lamang listahan ng mga numero. Ito ay isang kasunduan sa pagitan ng national government at ng local governments. Naroon ang pondo, ibinaba ang kapangyarihan at malinaw ang tiwala. Mas pinatibay natin ang serbisyong lokal, mas binibigyan natin ng free hand ang LGU na magdesisyon at mas sinisiguro natin na ang kaunlaran ay magsisimula sa komunidad mula sa mga planong alam nila, kailangan nila at sila mismo ang nag-endorso. So maraming salamat po.
Para po sa unang katanungan, Jean Mangaluz, philippines.com.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Good morning. To Secretary Remulla, you said that the LGUs will have a bigger role in basic services. How will this look alongside the new provision in the 2026 GAA that bans political involvement? Will the DILG have anti-EPAL guidelines?
Anti-EPAL guidelines are enshrined already in the laws of in the rules of the DBM and the rules of the Office of the President. Ang anti-EPAL guidelines naman klaro na. Pag may violation ng mga politicians, ang tinatawag namin ng mga mamamayan na picturean, ipost sa Facebook at pwede namin imbestigahan. Bawal ilagay ang pangalan na silang nagpagawa, bawal lagay ang kanilang logo, bawal lagay ang kanilang picture. May basic guidelines ang ano nakalagay doon. Project, date awarded, date to be started, contractor, date to be finished, at source of funds. Ayun lang. So, yung anti-EPAL campaign, hindi ho sa amin nakasalalay yan, kundi sa mamamayan. I-report nila para magawa namin ang action.
Thank you. To Secretary Toledo, Senate Finance Chair Win Gatchalian expressed concerns over several vetoed items, including the budget for payment for PS requirements. So we know that it won't affect the payment of current employees, but what about the hiring of future employees within the year?
Tama ka, hindi ba apektuhan, just siguro din naman, hindi ba apektuhan po ang mga sweldo ng ating mga regular employees kasi nakasaad na po sa budget ng bawat ahensya ang pansweldo ng bawat membro ng ating civil servants. Yes, you're true that yung ating mga newly hired, of course, that will all depend doon sa pagre-request ng ahensya on how fast they can fill it a request for filling up of position at the same time creation of position. And hindi rin sila maapektuhan because mayroon tayong tinatawag na special purpose funds naman na sasagot dyan kung sakaling sila ay ma-hire. Nandun po yung NPBF, yung Miscellaneous and Benefit MPBF, Personal Benefit Fund. I'm sorry. So, hindi po siya maapektuhan kahit man siya ay regular o at the same time yung mag-i-hire natin na mga empleyado.
May nag-express din po ng concern for the vetoing of the cars in the race program since pangbayad po siya sa Toyota and Mitsubishi. So, saan po makukuha yung funding for this?
Okay, ganito po yan. Yes, true na binito po yun nasa program appropriations para sa cars. Anyway, just to let you know, we'll be having our meeting tomorrow with the DTI to look at how we can settle this account as far as our party, which is the Toyota and the Mitsubishi. But ganito po yan kasi yung ano pa dapat may issue po yung TPC na tinatawag bago sila magbayad. But at this time, it has only been earned. Na-earn pa lang nila pero hindi pa na-issue yung TPC. So we need to discuss this with the DTI tomorrow. So this is already scheduled. So we will issue accordingly kung ano yung mga resolution or kasagutan dun sa concern as far as cars.
Para po sa susunod na katanungan, Chloe Ufana, Business World.
To the Budget Secretary, sir, malihis lang po sa budget, sir. How does the DBM see the outlook for infrastructure spending this 2026 after months of contraction in 2025? Do you expect a rebound or will spending remain subdued?
All right. Yes, well, based dito sa ating approved GAA, okay, so we're looking at achieving our infrastructure target as percent of GDP at 4.3%, and even at a nominal level that is equivalent to 1.3 trillion, which based on the GAA. So we can, as much as possible, we want to increase further moving forward in the medium term. So we want to increase as investment in terms of our infrastructure project. But for 2026, this is equivalent to 4.3% of GDP.
And sir, just a follow-up question. What headwinds are we expecting po na possible mag-derail ng pag-achieve natin itong 4.6?
I don't think this time malinis na po ang ating nasa budget. Alam niyo po magmula sa deliberation hanggang BICAM, malinis po ang nilagay na ating budget as far as not only for infrastructure, para sa lahat ng ating programa. So, meaning to say, there's no reason for us to delay and even wala nang ghost project dyan. So, I think we can achieve the projected target as far as our infrastructure is concerned.
Thank you, sir.
Susunod po na katanungan, Samuel Medinilla, Business Mirror.
For Sec. Remulla po muna. Mag-follow up lang po kami regarding po dun sa anti-EPAL provisions. Kanina po in-encourage nila yung mga citizens na i-report kung may magva-violate na LGU. Ano po ba yung possible sanction na pwedeng kaharapin ng mga magva-violate ng anti-EPAL policy?
Marami yan eh. Everything from, ano ba ito? Titignan ko yung direct. Meron kami mga administrative cases na pwede i-file sa kanila. Anything from suspension to preventive suspension to yung marami, puro admin case ang pwede i-file sa kanila, hindi criminal.
Bali ngayon po, pwede na po mag-report ngayon yung mga tao.
Oh, pwede na. Oh, pwede na. Oo.
Saan po kaya pwede?
Mag-post lang naman sila, makikita kagad namin yan eh. 'Di ba? Siguro pag-aaralan namin yung buhay yung isumbong sa Pangulo pero na DILG level para doon nila pwede i-report talaga kung sino yung nag-e-epal ng gusto.
Thank you po. Acting Secretary Toledo po. Regarding po dun sa na-mention kanina na spending po, nung last quarter po ng 2025, medyo bumagal raw po yung nung last year, bumagal raw po yung spending for infrastructure after magkaroon ng investigation dun sa mga sa public flood control project anomalies. Bumilis po ba yung spending nung last quarter last year?
Okay. We haven't received the report as of for the last quarter, but definitely nag-increase po yung ating mga spending, not just only for the infrastructure but overall. Yes, we're looking at mag-increase yung spending natin for the 2025. We haven't received yet the last quarter report or the cash operations report coming from the Bureau of the Treasury, wherein we have to base that and analyze that a COR once we receive the report coming from the Bureau of the Treasury.
Tapos regarding po dun sa previous secretary po ng DBMC, Sec Pangandaman, na-mention po nila na may proposal to put a 5% cap on unprogrammed appropriations po. May plan po kaya yung DBM na implement yun for the 2027 budget?
Okay. Sa ngayon, malinaw po ng ating unprogrammed appropriations ay mababa na ngayon. So that is around 150 billion na lang po tayo for the 2026. And most likely, yes, we will look at that unprogrammed appropriations na dapat mas mababa pa siguro sa ngayon. But ang sasabihin ko lang po, ang unprogrammed appropriations po ay hindi naman po siya masama. Okay, hindi siya illegal. Actually, may decision na po dyan ang Supreme Court as far as the unprogrammed appropriations is concerned. Pero of course, para sa amin siguro, titingnan na lang mabuti kung anong nararapat lang doon sa unprogrammed appropriations na nakalista. Isa doon ay yung tinatawag nating foreign assisted projects. Kasi mayroon tayong sinusunod po in terms of determining what should be in the program and for the unprogrammed. Para sa foreign assisted projects po, may cut-off po tayo kung ano dapat ilagay sa program appropriation. Yun yung mga perfected loans or contract within the budget preparations, which is until May or June 30 of 2020. Halimbawa, this year for 2027, June 30 of 2026, dapat may perfected loan. For those loan na wala pa siya after that June 30 cut-off, we have to put that in the unprogrammed appropriations. Kaya mahalaga rin po, kasi po, kung once, halimbawa, next year na approve yung loan, wala tayong source of appro para ma-implement yung proyekto. And what will happen? Madidelay po ang implementation ng ating project. So, ganun po yung So, I think unprogrammed appropriation is also very important.
Final question na lang po sa akin. May naging instruction po ba si President Marcos regarding sa unprogrammed appropriation for the 2027 budget? Meron po ba siyang naset na parang cap tulad po nung 2026?
Okay. Wala pong instruction ang ating Pangulo, pero from our end, from the economic matters and from the public financial management perspective, mayroon po tayong sinusunod that at least within 5% of the total program of the budget. Ganun po siya. Hindi siya sinasabi, pero mayroon tayong sinusundan na international benchmark at the same time naaayon din sa batas.
Thank you po.
Sunod po na tanong, Daryl Esguera, PNA.
To Secretary Toledo po. Sir, for 2026, magkano po yung NDR, RMF or Calamity Fund? And yung mga disaster response agencies, magkano yung respective
Okay.
QRFs nila?
Okay. Para hindi tayo, siguraduhin ko lang kung magkano yun talaga. Okay. Okay. Ang nakalagay po sa ating National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Fund ay may kabuang appropriations na 39.8 billion na maaring gamitin para sa reconstruction, rehabilitation, repair, aid, relief, and other works or services including pre-disaster activities in connection with the occurrence of natural or human-induced calamities, epidemics as declared by DOH. Also included there is crisis resulting from armed conflicts, insurgency, terrorism, and other catastrophes occurring in the current or two preceding years. Okay? So, mayroon pong ano din, under that po, sabihin ko na rin po, nandyan po yung ating 15.33 billion para sa Disaster Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Assistance Program for local government units. Under that. That is, tapos po, may karagdagan po dyan na QRF. So, ang QRF po natin dyan, mayroon din 10.685. Okay? Na QRF at, I don't know if you're interested to know the details of that, we can provide you, but that's also available on our website. Okay. 10.685.
If in case kulangin, sir, may mga funding sources pa ba na pwedeng itap?
Oh yes, kasi ang ating QRF po, pwede mag-request po ang ahensya once they reach that 50% of their QRF has been utilized, pwede silang mag-request po uli for replenishment that will be charged against the MDRIM Fund or National Disaster Risk and Management Fund.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sunod po na katanungan, Kenneth Pasyente, PTV4.
To Secretary Toledo po. Sir, good morning. Balik lang po ako dun sa unprogrammed appropriations. Sir, ano po yung naging batayan ng pag-veto doon po sa prior years LGU shares na nakapaloob po sa UA?
Okay. Lilinawin lang po natin yung sa prior years sa LGUs ano. Ano po kasi yan? Kailangan po kasi may certification yan from the Bureau of the Treasury na may nakolekta na sa mga mini hydroelectric corporations or mines. So, sa ngayon po, wala po pa kasi siyang certification kaya po siya nakalagay sa unprogrammed appropriations. At the same time, na-veto yan, okay, under this current year. So, ang mangyayari po dyan, once we receive right now for this 2026, when we are planning for 2027, we will now include that in the program appropriations for 2027. So once we receive the certification that they have received by the Bureau of the Treasury na meron na pong nakolekta for those para sa mga mini hydraulic plants. Kasi collection po yan, may income na share po yan kasi ng bawat LGU kung nasaan po yung planta.
Para po sa huling katanungan, Maricel Halili, TV5.
Good morning. Secretary Mulya, follow-up lang dun sa Apple politicians. Yun pong sinasabi ninyo na suspension, yun na po ba yung pinakamabigat na penalty for the Apple politicians? And is that enough to discipline them?
Well, we can, kung recidivist ang attitude ng local government, local chief executive, pwede namin ipasa sa ombudsman to for admin and criminal cases.
So there's still a possibility na
There still
masampahan
is.
sila ng...
Depends on the appreciation of the ombudsman. Kung recidivist na talaga. Kasi minsan yan, sasabihin mo na, tapos tuloy pa rin sila. Minsan sabihin nila hindi sila. Pero the mere fact, kung makita nila yung mukha nila doon, dapat it's their obligation na tanggalin yan eh. Diba? Kasi may anti-Apple campaign na nga.
Okay. So does it mean that there's also a possibility for them to be removed from the post?
Di siguro ganun ka ano. Ang removal from office is basis of graft. Most often not graft or other severe forms of violations. Pero yung suspension I think is already a grave punishment para sa mga ganyan.
Sir, last na lang. Do you see the need for legislation to make more mas mabigat
Para may ngipin talaga, no? Oh, I believe so. Dapat gumawa na sila. Kasi sa ngayon, yung anti-Apple campaign was only born out of sa frustration ng mga tao in the last 15 years. So wala pa tayong codified conduct para dyan sa anti-Apple campaign. It'd be a great help if the national legislature made steps para talagang mabawal yan.
Thank you, Sec.
Thank you. Last two question po pala. Tuesday, new DCWB.
To Secretary Remulla, sir. Sir, we understand na ang budget ng DILG for this year is about 308 billion pesos. And big part of that is mapupunta sa Philippine National Police. And we know also na parte rin ng budget ng PNP yung intelligence fund nila. So we just wonder, sir, kung paano nagagamit itong intel ng PNP considering na up to now, hindi pa natin nakikita si Zaldico, wala pa rin si Harry Roque, hindi pa nahuhuli. Nandyan pa rin nakakawala si General Bantag, hindi pa rin nahuhuli. Ano kaya ang posible nating maging development sa mga wanted persons na ito this year?
Well, mas mabuti siguro na si General Nartates ang tanong niyo para dyan kasi siya ang may control ng Intel Fund ng PNP. But you're gonna have to commend the PNP also kasi kung ayon sa latest survey, nung nireform natin ng lahat ng processes, ang guidelines, ang codes of behavior, the PNP now enjoys the highest trust rating ever according to Okta. I think we're almost at 80% trust rating sa mga pulis ngayon. So, yung cherry picking na nakikita natin sa mga kukonting taon na yung 3 taon sinabi mo, does not reflect on the overall performance of the PNP. Focus crimes are down, index crimes are down, smuggling is down, lahat ng mga major accomplishments ng PNP, makikita nyo na. And the discipline and the morale of the PNP is higher than it's ever been. Mas professional silang yan.
Yes, sir. We acknowledge naman, sir, yung kanilang ibang accomplishments. But these 3 persons, sir, are valuable.
Yes,
Valuable
Zaldico is abroad. We suspect na nasa Portugal siya. Information namin ay meron siyang Portuguese passport out of an immigration clause na nilagay nila. Ang information namin ito ay 10 years old pero verify pa namin. Pero nagbigay ng instructions sa President na formally mag-apply na kami ng extradition treaty sa kanila kahit wala pang formal extradition treaties between the two countries. Pero through the Interpol, magre-request na kami ng repatriation ni Zaldico kung nasa Portugal talaga siya. Pagdating kay Harry Roque, cancelled na ang passport niya, so it's only a matter of time na papabalikin na siya dito. As far as Bantag is concerned, he is last track to be in the Cordillera region and we are closing in on him.
Last, Sir Ivan Mayri na po muna. Okay po. Kat Domingo, ABS-CBN.
Sir, just on the extradition of Zaldico, do we have a specific timeline as to when the president expects him to be back in the country?
Siguro DFA yan tanong nyo. Siya ang makakalam. Sila makakalam yan.
Right, sir, more details lang because it's a big issue for a lot of Filipinos here. Ito pong, is it the first time that the Philippines is going to ask for the return of a Filipino from a country where we don't have an extradition treaty?
As far as I know, yes. But you cannot quote me on that in verbatim kung factual lang sinabi ko. But as far as I know, yes. Yun lang.
Sir, we know you're very close with the ombudsman. You have a personal relation with him, and I know that you discuss things as well at home.
Matagal ko nang kilala.
Sir, ano po yung ibang options ng Pilipinas in terms of apprehending Zaldico aside from applying for an extradition treaty?
Si Secretary Toledo ang head ng Mossad ng Pilipinas ngayon. Siya nang bahalang dumakip sa kanya. But no, we do not practice extrajudicial means of acquiring jurisdiction over a person. So we will always go through the rational, legal, and acceptable ways of acquiring jurisdiction over a person.
Sir, last from my end. Sir, follow-up ko lang po. Yung alleged arrest warrant against Senator Ronald De La Rosa because you mentioned...
Alleged pa rin siya hanggang ngayon.
Sir, pero kapatid niyo po yung nag-announce na meron.
Oh, sabi niya. Pero as far as I'm concerned, wala pa ako nakikitang formal copy of a warrant of arrest or request for an arrest from the ICC. So just to make it clear, the DFA, neither the DFA nor the LGU, the DILG, PNP, nor the Center for Transnational Crimes have received a formal copy of the warrant of arrest. However, there are several people who claim to have seen a copy, but the formal copy has not been yet shown to us. So as far as we are concerned, wala pa talagang warrant of arrest.
Sir, sorry, pahabol na tanong, phone-in question. Ano daw po yung inyong reaction with regard to the alleged corruption in the Bureau of Fire Protection, given that it was mentioned earlier that LGUs will be receiving about 1.49 billion pesos in fire code fees?
Yes, yung fire code fees yan, it does not go to the LGUs. It is paid to the LGUs, and the LGUs remit it to the National Treasury, which is then used as a trust fund for the BFP.
Sir, yung kumikickback daw po yung mga taga-BFP sa pagbili ng fire extinguisher at iba
Oh
pang
yes,
equipment.
100%. In fact, naglagay na kami ng special task force. Bumili na kami ng 14,000 body cameras, several thousand of which will be attached to the mga fire inspectors. So may script na sila. May sasabihin na andito po kami para sa fire inspection. Ito po ang pwede namin sabihin, ito po ang pwede namin gawin. Lahat ito naka-body camera. So, upon inspection, sasabihin niya kung ano nakikita nila. Kung wala silang makitang violation, right there and then, kailangan ibigay na nila yung certificate, and yung digital copy is to follow. So, wala nang delay. Kung sisitahin nila yung fire extinguisher, dapat sitahin nila properly, sabihin nila kung ano ang defect, pero hindi sila pwede mag-recommend kung ano ang bibilihin na fire extinguisher.
Ilan pong officials ng BFP are we looking at?
100% of all fire safety inspectors. Ilan yan, Yusek? Around 10,000. All of
Sir,
it.
sorry, I mean ilan po yung iniimbestigahan natin? Persons of interest natin?
Ngayon, ang formal inimbestigahan namin is the former Bids and Awards Committee last year, and the several personnel from the QC Fire Department and from the NCPRO and the general leadership of the BFP.
Para po sa huling katanungan, Ivan Mayrina, GMA7.
Yes, Secretary, by empowering the LGUs in the implementation of infrastructure projects, we are giving them a bigger say, which means bigger discretion that was previously exercised by district representatives. So as a former local chief executive, sir, how are mayors or governors better than district representatives as custodians of public funds and as implementers of projects?
Well, first and foremost, they all want the same thing. Gusto naman nila mag-develop ang kanilang lugar. That is their mandate, and that's what they are after. Yung mga congressman naman, hindi natin mamasamin na gusto nila talaga gumawa ng basketball court, gusto nila gumawa ng kalye, gusto nila gumawa ng water impounding areas. Pare-pareho lang ang intensyon. Ang pinagkaiba dyan ay yung friction cost. Just to give an example, sa Cavite noon, gumawa kami ng 16 schoolroom building sa isang munisipalidad doon. Ang cost namin was 21.5 million. Something like that, mga 21 plus million. Gumawa ang DPWH exactly the same. 16 schoolroom building 1 kilometer away. Ang cost nila was 36 million. So makikita mo yung friction cost. For exactly the same product, ang ginagawa ng local government at ginagawa ng DPWH noong panahon na yon, ang price difference nila is 40 to 50% difference. So naniniwala ko kung habang may reforms na ginagawa sa DPWH, ang local government ang best venue para makuha natin ang maximum benefit para sa mga katauhan.
And what accounts for that friction cost? Yun ba yung, corruption?
Well, that's the other word for friction cost is corruption.
Thank you.
Okay.
Salamat po. Yun ang po ang huling katanungan niyo, si Claire.
Maraming salamat, Secretary John Vic Remulla, and of course to DBM Secretary Rolando Toledo. Maraming salamat sa inyong mga pagpapaliwanag at napakaliwanag. Salamat.